त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशङ्करं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या संप्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहित प्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। Pranams everyone. We are in the third chapter, Sloka number 10. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Saha Yajñah Praja Srishtva Purovacha Prajapatihi Anena Prasavishyadvam Yeshavostvishta Kamadhuk. So Bhagavan is explaining about Karma Yoga here in this section, very important portions. Bhagavan started in Karma Yoga explanation from Sloka number 8. So in Sloka number 8 he said Niyatam Kuru Karma. Niyatam Kuru Karma meaning do your duties. So there we saw how the duties have to be performed without any expectation. And then Bhagavan said the attitude, the duties must be performed without any likes and dislikes, without any expectation of the results. Then the attitude that we have to have while performing these duties, Bhagavan mentioned in Sloka number 9. He said, Yajñārtat, for the sake of Ishvara, do it as Ishvara Arpana, without any sense of expectation of return of any even gratitude. Do not expect any gratitude, do not expect anything as a result. What you would need to get, you will get from whomever it may be. It need not be the person for whom you are performing the duties or from whom you are expecting your rights. Tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Bhagavan said, do that without any attachment. Mukta sangha. And do that, perform that well. Samacharaha. Perform that action well, with full commitment. Now, in this sloka number 10, Saha Yajñah Praja Srishtva Purovacha Prajapati, Bhagavan is saying what's the benefit of that. And he also said, here Bhagavan is talking about how to actually what are the different types of yajnas that we had talked about. The 5 different yajnas, types of yajnas are also called Pancha Maha Yajnas. We had seen them. Deva Yajñā, Pitr Yajñā, Manusha Yajñā, Bhuta Yajñā and Brahma Yajñā. There we had seen in the last class Deva Yajñā. Deva Yajñā means any kind of prayer that we have to perform towards Ishvara. We have to dedicate time for Ishvara prayer for Ishvara. It could be one of those rituals that you perform every day, or at least spend a few moments before Ishvara. Do that prayer. And what does that prayer give as benefit? It gives multiple benefits. This prayer, if we do it consistently, it's not that one day we perform a prayer for 3 hours and the next few days we don't do. If we do this prayer consistently every day, even for 5 minutes, but consistently without letting go of even one day, then what is the benefit that we get? The first benefit, we get clarity in mind and peace of mind. This is the first benefit that we will see. And how do we know? We will come to know ourselves. When we actually continuously keep doing these prayers, over a period of time, we will see that the mind calms down. We don't get agitated for things. Things that could be agitating us a few days before or before prayers, we had started on prayers, you will see that those items or those issues or those incidents will not cause any agitation in the mind. We will be much more calmer. This is the first drishta palam. Of course, prayers also give us adrishta palam, the adrishta palam being punyam. Every action gives us papam or punyam. So in that case, what does the action of prayers do us? Prayers give us punya. So the first one is clarity in mind, peace of mind. That's the first benefit. The second benefit is a strong mind. In life, we would have seen that however much we actually try to plan for things, we take care of all the nitty-gritty details and all those things, and yet there will be places where we will face failure. Failure in life for every individual is inevitable. And when failure comes, only a strong mind will be able to withstand it. And this prayer will help us to give that strong mind. Only a person who has been doing prayers regularly, only that person will have a strong mind which can take the brunt of failure. For others, they will face failure from failure. In the sense, what is failure from failure means, say a student has given an exam and he fails in that exam. Now, if the person has already strengthened his mind through regular prayers, then the only failure that he has to face is the failure from the exams. But if he has not been able to strengthen his mind, then what happens is the failure in the exams will result in further problems, in depression, suicidal tendencies, getting into bad habits and all those things. That is called as failure from failure. So another drishta palam from prayer is when one faces failure, then the ability to face that failure, ability to see through that and go past that is the next palam. That is another drishta palam. This is also very important. Now there could be some question, there could be some doubts in certain people's mind as to, does prayer really have such a benefit? Because what we do in prayer, we offer some flowers, do some namaskaram, chant some slokas, and then leave. Will this make a difference? Will this make a difference? The answer is, if we give some exclusive time, in the sense during that prayer we do not think or do something else, and we focus only on doing that, and also be sincere in our prayers, in the sense with the sense of gratitude towards Ishvara. Every moment that we have, we should have a sense of gratitude to Ishvara, towards Ishvara, saying that you have given me a nice life, you have given me a good life. Everything that you have given me, I accept it as it is. Now in that 5 minutes, if we are able to do that and do that consistently over a long period of time, it will make a huge impact. It is just like, a string of ants, when they go through a rock over many days, millions of ants or millions of times they actually go through a particular path in a rock, then they say even that will actually that portion of the rock will also, you will have a dent in it. In Tamil they say erumbura kallum theyum. In the same manner, doing prayer regularly gives strength to the mind. So the two laukika drishta palams are, one, peace of mind, no agitation, and the second one is strong mind. These are two laukika benefits. In the sense, this mind is now helpful for us to face other worldly things also. Now if we come to the Vedantic benefit, how does a prayer help us in Vedanta? If you look at it, then the first one it gives is Śrāddha. Prayer induces Śrāddha towards Ishvara in our mind. This is a higher benefit, and it is a very important benefit for a spiritual seeker. Without Śrāddha, none of these Vedantic discussions, Vedantic concepts that we are discussing will go into our mind. Because we always, if we do not have Śrāddha, we will start questioning them. We will start asking as to whether it is really important, whether it is actually relevant for me. Is that those kind of doubts will creep into our mind. Which means anything that can give these Vedantic concepts is capable of giving those benefits, but we will not be able to gain those benefits even though we are listening to them, because we do not have the Śrāddha. So Śrāddha is very important. Prayer improves our Śrāddha. When we visibly see the benefits of prayers in our daily life, slowly what happens is, because we are also, the Śrāddha comes up also because by doing prayer we are seeing a strong mind, we are seeing a peace of mind. By seeing that visible benefit, our Śrāddha towards Ishvara and our bhakti towards Ishvara will also increase. And Śrāddha helps in Vedanta. So as I said, how does Śrāddha help in Vedanta? Because as our bhakti and Śrāddha increase towards Ishvara, now our automatically it goes up towards it automatically goes towards the Vedas and Vedantas as well. Because Veda and Vedanta have also come from Ishvara. So Śrāddha increases towards the teachings, towards the Guru's words, and that actually help us to absorb these concepts better. Otherwise what happens? Listening to Vedanta will not make any difference. It will be as good as only mere words. Okay, I'm sitting through a lecture in a college, it just goes into my ears, through my ears, into my brain, and then goes out. It does not create that impact or change in me that is needed for me to progress spiritually. It does not, those words do not turn itself into knowledge without Śrāddha. If one has to show some seriousness, give importance to something that is being said, then we must have Śrāddha, the respect, love towards the teaching as well as to the person who is saying these words. If we had cultivated Śrāddha on Ishvara, when Guru says that these are actually from Vedas and the Vedas are from Ishvara, then automatically we will take them as pramana. The problem for us is Śrāddha does not come because of we do not consider Veda as our pramana. Pramana means source of knowledge. Suppose if I say my science book is my pramana, because anything I read in the science book, I take it for granted. I have not done those experiments, I have not done those, I have not been there. And yet I take them as truth, because I take my science book as pramana, as a source of knowledge. In the same way, if I am able to consider Vedas as pramana, then immediately we can see the change in us. We can immediately see the spiritual gain that we get. The knowledge starts getting absorbed quicker. So this is the benefit of prayer. We will see more benefit when we take bhakti as a topic. There is a separate chapter for bhakti. We'll come to it later. So now, Deva Yajñā means doing prayer. So let us start the day with prayer. Let us end the day with prayer, and in between consider all the activities as prayer, but in between also spend some time exclusively for prayer. This is known as Deva Yajna. This is considered to be one of the Nitya Karma for any Grihastha. Then the next one is called Pitr Yajñā. Out of the Pancha Maha Yajnas, we have finished Deva Yajna. The second one, Pitr Yajñā, which means worship of the forefathers. And worship of forefathers in Vedas, our scriptures, it consider that as very important. The forefathers, our ancestors, they are the ones who had given us our culture, our tradition, this body, all these things. So we have to remember them, we have to be grateful towards them, we have to perform our duties for them. And according to our tradition, depending on every family, their forefathers, their grandfathers, their great grandfathers would have practiced in a certain way, in a particular way, and that should be followed. One must allot some time, one must do it with Śrāddha. And this can be any type of kind of worship according to the family tradition. So there is Śrāddham, tarpanam, all those things that we should not compromise. We should perform them properly. And on that day when we perform, we remember them, we remember their lives, we remember their hardships, we take lessons from that. So even if they had a wrong life, as in you don't like the way they had conducted themselves, remembering them and taking lessons from them is important. Now there is a question, again here question might come, what will I do? I mean, whatever I do, the Śrāddham or tarpanam, will it go to them? We had already seen this question in the first chapter when Arjuna had asked that question. So there had been a discussion on this already. But anyway, here what I am saying is, it does not matter. Whether it goes or not does not matter. It is important that we perform our duties. This is a duty that has been given in the Vedas, and therefore it must be done. Whenever a Pitr Yajñā is performed, there are certain things like aspects of dana. Dana is involved. And when we do this dana, and the punya that comes out of this dana goes to the performer of the Śrāddham or tarpanam. So if the performer of Śrāddham requires this punya, then it is used by the performer himself. So it works in this way. If we do the Śrāddham, the punyam that we get out of this activity of this Śrāddham is used by us. If we do not require that punyam, it is actually donated to Pitrus who require this punyam. That is how we have to take it. And what is the benefit of the performer? The performer gets the benefit of punyam. The donation that you do, the dhanam that you do, you get some punya out of it. And not only that, if we are actually donating the punya also, if we are actually transferring the punya to the Pitru, then there is a punya involved in actually donating the punya. That is higher than the punya itself. So that the performer gets. Now all these are adrishtam. There is no scientific validation that we can do. There cannot be any kind of a thesis that can be written on all these things. All these are adrishtam only, and all of this requires Śrāddha. And that's why the ritual itself is called as Śrāddham. That ritual that needs to be performed, that has to be performed with full Śrāddha, because there is no validation for it. And Shastras consider these rituals as extremely important. In fact, more than celebrating the festival, these karmas are more important. These karmas are more important than actually celebrating the festivals. One may forget celebrating Ramanavami, Krishna Jayanti, it's all fine. Even ignoring this Vinayaka Chaturthi is also fine. But not doing Śrāddham or tarpanam is not acceptable according to Shastras. This is called as, so this is Pitr Yajñā. So this is the second of the Pancha Maha Yajnas. Now the third one is called as Rishi Yajñā. Rishi Yajñā or Brahma Yajñā. Brahma here means Vedas. Brahma Yajñā, we say. There is also this, after the Sandhyavandanam and Madhyanikam, there is a Brahma Yajñam that is supposed to be done every day. Brahma means here Vedas. Vedas means, so what is Brahma Yajña? It means offering to or worshipping our scriptures. So what is kind of the worship? Studying the mantras, studying the Shastras that came through our rishis, preserving them. When we say preserving them, it does not mean that actually we get the book of it and then store it in a library. How do we preserve it? By actually imbibing it and giving it to the next generation. That is how you preserve it. So what are these Shastras when we say Shrutis, Smritis, Sutras, Itihasas, Puranas? All form the core Shastras. And the rishis have dedicated their entire life to give us these scriptures. They have given so much of scriptures. So we have to preserve them. So Vyasacharya, if you look at him, he has given us Mahabharata. As I said, can we say that when we actually keep a book of Mahabharata in our home, we say we preserve it? No. Shastras are preserved by getting every generation comprehend that knowledge. And when it is easy to say, I want this to actually go to the next generation. But I myself, I may not, if I am not interested in it, but I want my next generation to follow them, that is considered hypocrisy. That is considered escapism. So we have to understand it. We have to learn it. Especially our Shastras, our culture, our tradition. It's so glorious. Whatever this is, our Shastras and our culture is extremely unique. It's so glorious. It is important for the sake of humanity. It's all encompassing. So preserving and propagating our scriptures is very important. So reading Shastras is part of Rishi Yajñā. Shankaracharya, in his first line of Sadhana Panchakam, his first line he says, Vedo Nitya Adiyatam. He says, Tad Uditam Karma Swanushthiyatam. He says, study the Vedas daily. He says, Vedo Nityam Adiyatam. Study the Vedas daily. Tad Uditam Karma Swanushthiyatam. Then you perform those duties that are ordained by them diligently. This is the first what shall I say, advice in Sadhana Panchakam. The first sadhana that Shankaracharya gives to spiritual seekers. So which means we not everybody can read Vedas, but any Parayanam, daily Parayanam of Sahasranama, either Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, it's very important. Gita, Upanishad, any kind of prayers. So allotting some time every day for study of scriptures, even listening to this Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, either studying or listening to or understanding the meaning of it by listening to it every day. It's all considered to be study of scriptures. It's all considered to be Rishi Yajñā. Reading the Bhagavatam from beginning to end with translation, that is also considered to be all Rishi Yajñā. Reading the Ramayanam. Some people chant the Sundaragandam every day. So those are all, we need not do every day full. So just a few slokas every day. It's all part of Brahma Yajna. Study of scriptures is very important. Swadhyayam, they say, is very important. It's Brahma Yajna. That's why even in Taittiriya Upanishad it says, Ritam cha swadhyaya pravachane cha, satyam cha swadhyaya pravachane cha, tapascha swadhyaya pravachane cha, damascha swadhyaya pravachane cha, samascha swadhyaya pravachane cha, agnayascha swadhyaya pravachane cha. It is repeated several times, swadhyayam, to indicate that we are all responsible not only for receiving the scriptural knowledge, but it is our duty and responsibility to hand over to the posterity, for future also, to the next generation also. We need not sit at home and do a lecture, but what we should do is, we should share the traditional wisdom with our children. Whatever we had gathered from our grandparents and our parents, whatever we had studied, we'll have to share it with our children. And in every family in India, this culture was actually transferred only in the families. There were no separate schools for people to actually get this knowledge. It had been like, the grandmothers and the grandfathers used to tell them the stories, Puranas primarily, and from there they actually, from one generation to another generation, it was actually transferred. Typically from the grandfather to grandson generation in every family, grandparents to grandchildren. Some families do through parents also. Now we don't have these time, and therefore we have purchased Amar Chitrakatha. We have given the children the Amar Chitrakatha. Now what happens is, in some places what happens, the Amar Chitrakatha means the children know much more than the parents nowadays. But anyway, the important thing is preserving and propagating our scriptures. Brahma Yajna, daily Veda Parayanam, or any Smriti, any Itihasa, any Purana, any Sloka, that is to be done. Sloka chanting can come under Deva Yajna. Here we should be looking at Veda, Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita and all those things. And reading that becomes very important. Studying that is very important. There is a saying, right? They say, tell me your friend and I will tell you about you. In the same way, we can also say, tell what you are reading and I can tell about you. So we should be reading good books. Because what we read, what we listen is what we become. It has got a very big connection between what we read, what we listen, and what we become. There is a Upanishad saying which says, Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhihi. Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhihi means the food that we take is pure. If the food that we take is pure, then the mind also becomes clean and pure. And when we say food here, Aharam does not mean only the annam that we eat through the mouth. Whatever we take, it is not just Aharam. It includes the food that is given to the mind also through the 5 sense organs. So what we see, what we hear, what we taste, all become our personality. Through eyes, whenever we see, whatever we see and whatever we read, it goes in, it influences our mind. So the mind becomes what we see. And that's why sense organs discipline becomes very important. We had seen that already in the 2nd chapter. We will be seeing this again and again. Damaha and Shamaha. And that's why to actually discipline each of these sense organs, to be aware of what is going in, it could be difficult. That's why Shastras say, be in satsanga. Satsanga is an easy way to kind of discipline the entire sense organs, all the sense organs in one time, in one place, one time. Satsanga is not easy to get all times also. Satsanga means what? Satsanga means being in the company of Mahans and Sannyasis. Being in the company of Mahans and Sannyasis, it's Satsanga. But getting there, getting to be around them is not very easy. But what if you want their Satsanga? The next best way is to read their books. Their books is their Satsanga. They are not different from their books. When we read their books, we get their Satsangam. When we read their books, these days the audio lectures, video lectures, whenever we listen to them, these are all considered Satsangam. And the more when we have this Satsangam, our mind gets purified. Because the reason is those words that we listen, those words that we hear, those words that we read, they purify us. How do we know? Only when we see the change in ourselves, we will understand these things. In fact, one word is good enough for a person to change. It can be for good or for bad. One word is enough. The words that we listen can actually change us. As I said, the Brahma Yajna, now Brahma Yajna is all these Yajnas where we are studying scriptures, being in Satsanga and all those things. The Brahma Yajna, as I said, there is also a ritualistic form. For all these people who have doing Sandhya Vandana and Madhyanika. After that, there is a ritual called Brahma Yajna. People do it only on the day of Upakarma, but it's actually supposed to be done every day. And there also, when there is a tarpanam involved there. When you do a tarpanam, there is said Rig Vedam tarpayami, Yajur Vedam tarpayami, Sama Vedam tarpayami, Adharvana Vedam tarpayami, Ityasa Puranam tarpayami, Kalpam tarpayami. We have this tarpayami for all the Vedas and Ityasas and Puranas also. These are our offerings. So we offer our prayer to all these Vedas also. In fact, not only there, we also have Rishim Tarpayami. We say, each of the Rishis we call out and say Tarpayami. The Rishis who have contributed to all these, our scriptures. And not only Rishis, we also say Sarva Rishi Patni Gum Tarpayami. We include even the Rishi Patnis. The Rishi Patnis are also worshipped. The wives of the Rishis are also worshipped. So this is another example where we can say our culture is not patriarchal. They say, patriarchy. It's not. We worship even the Rishis and the Rishi Patnis. So this is all part of Brahma Yajna. So in short, Brahma Yajna means, what is it? Exclusive separate time for reading our Shastras. And do that when the body is conducive. People say, why read Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana and Mahabharata at this age? When I become old, when I don't have anything else to do, I will do that. The thing is, when we become old, we may not be able to see clearly. Our eyes may be failing, our ears may be failing. We will not have enough time. So do it when it is still functioning. And it is all punyam also. So even 5 minutes every day, again, consistency is more important than intensity. So do that regularly. Studying them and sort of sharing them with the next generation is the best way of preserving, or is the only way of preserving our scriptures and culture. So this is Brahma Yajna. Then the fourth Yajna is Manushya Yajna. Manushya Yajna means doing service to other human beings. So all types of social service come under Manushya Yajna. Whether it is feeding the poor, building orphanages, even sharing knowledge is all part of Manushya Yajna. the problem with us is we perform actions only if we see any benefit out of it. That is the problem that we have within ourselves. Say a doctor is there, he uses his knowledge to treat patients, and when by treating them he gets fees. He also needs to survive, so getting fees is okay. But suppose if there is a poor person and he treats that person free of cost, then it becomes Manusya Yajñā. We have to understand he is doing it for a person whom he doesn't know. Suppose he does free of cost for his own family members. I don't take fees from my son or daughter. Then it is not called as Manusya Yajñā. Manusya Yajñā is only when I help someone without expecting anything in return. That attitude is called as Manusya Yajñā. Doing for someone whom we have some attachment, or as in love or affection, or with an expectation that he will do something back in return. Maybe not now, but later on. With that attitude, if we do any action, then that is not called as Manusya Yajñā. So Manusya Yajñā is doing some service to other human beings without expecting anything in return. We have got this expression, right? Nara Seva, Narayana Seva. Or we say Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. Seva means, Sanskrit Seva means service. So whatever we do as a service to fellow human beings, I am offering that to Ishvara. That should be the attitude. Whatever I do as a service to other human beings, I am offering it to Ishvara. There is some old person in the neighborhood taking them to a doctor because they don't have anybody to take them along. That is a service. Or just nothing, spending time with them to actually talk to them, say some nice words. Manusya Seva, Manusya Yajñā. Giving food to a stranger, doing things for others without having any return benefit from them is called as Manusya Yajñā. Remember, it can be anything. It need not necessarily be only Annadana. Sometimes it is referred to Atithi Yajñā. This Manusya Yajñā is referred to Atithi Yajñā. And actually it is not only to Atithi, it is not only to about Annadanam. And because it is called as Atithi Yajñā, some people take care of guests who come home. So they say, we invite people and then we take care of them. And they consider that to be Atithi Yajñā, saying that, look, I have actually taken care of their guests when they had come home. So this is part of this Atithi Yajñā. No, in those days, that is not what was meant by Atithi Yajñā. In those days, Atithi Yajñā means any traveler, anyone can go to a house and ask for food. And they will have to be served as a proper guest. When a person goes and asks for food in those days, they are not to be treated as a beggar. As in, you stand outside, I'll throw some food to you on your plate, you eat it outside and go away. Not that kind of an attitude. In those days when travelers came, in our culture, they were welcomed into the house. Their legs will be washed by the husband. The wife will cook the fresh food, the best food will be served to the guest first. And this person will be totally unknown to them. He is just a traveler. And he would be served food. He may be even resting in their house and then leaving the next day to continue his travel. That is Atithi Yajñā. And that's because in those days there were no restaurants or hotels. According to our Shastras, food is not supposed to be sold. It is a papa to sell food. So food is not supposed to be sold. People just knock on people's other houses, and they will be served. There's a story, right? In Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's father, it seems, had walked from Calcutta to Rameshwaram. Calcutta, West Bengal, Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu. He had walked from Calcutta to Rameshwaram to have darshan of Ishvara. And then he walked back to Calcutta again. There were no hotels in those days. So for him to have been able to do that, what should have he done for food? He would have got those food from the villages in between. People would have served him food. He might have actually stayed in thinnais of home. In those days, even today in villages, you will have what is known as thinnai. Thinnai is a small kind of a place to sit or lie down outside the house. It's covered. It's not totally covered, but at least the roof over it would be there. This is for travelers to rest and sleep. Those thinnais were built specifically for people who come late in the night and who want to lie down and then walk the next day. For them to actually sleep those days, those thinnais were made. Thinnai was for those travelers, for them to rest and sometimes even to serve them food. That was the setup in those days. So now what we can do? Giving dress to needy people, spending time in old age homes, doing annadhanam, giving food to this is all to any needy person. If we do, it's called as Manushya Yajna. Some people, they say, I don't believe in Śrāddha and all. So on that day of Śrāddha, I will do some annadhanam. Instead of doing tarpanam and Śrāddha, I will feed the poor. So instead of feeding somebody who is have ancestors which I don't even know, I think it is better to actually feed somebody who is alive and whose hunger I can actually fulfill. Make sure that they get fed. Shastra says that poor feeding is called as Manushya Yajna. The Śrāddham and Tarpanadi is all Pitr Yajñā. One cannot replace the other. You can always do both. One can be added to the other, but one can never replace the other. All these Pancha Maha Yajnas are equally important. It's not that one can replace. I don't believe in God, so I will not do Deva Yajna. I'm happy to do only Manushya Yajna. After all, doing service to human beings is doing service to God. That does not work. It does not work that way. Each of them are equally important. One cannot replace the other. We'll have to remember that. So this is Manushya Yajna. Now the fifth one, the last one is called as Bhuta Yajna. When you say Bhuta, it's not the Hanuman Chalisa, Bhuta Pisacha Nikata Nahi Ave. No, that is some other Bhuta. Here when we say Bhutam means all living beings other than humans. So which means the animal kingdom, plant kingdom, insect kingdom, whatever. All animals, plants, insects all come under Bhuta. The environmental protection is all come under Bhuta Yajna. That is why in our culture we have got different deities having different animals as vahanas. Vahana, if you see, elephant, elephant is used as a vahana, tiger is used, lion is used, monkey is used, peacock is used, bull is used, eagle, even snake, mouse, all these animals are being used as vahanas. Only when you see them as vahanas, we develop a reverence for them. Therefore, a reverence for life, reverence for even plants. In Shastra say you should not cut a tree, and if you cut a tree, you will have to plant another tree. Minimum, it says. Now, all these people who are talking about environmental protection and all those things, it has all been there in our culture. It's imbibed in our culture. That's why we say in Vedas also we say Ashvattha Vada, Ashvattava Vada, Vriksha, Chandanu Taru, Kalpadrumo. There is a series of names of trees that are mentioned, list of trees are given, and we end that shloka with Kurvantu te mangalam. We worship them in early morning, all these representative trees, and we worship them, we remember them, how they are contributing for our survival. This is Bhuta Yajna. We know in our culture there are lots of trees which are divine and auspicious. Peepal tree, Attimara, Tulasi plant, Manjal we worship for Pongal and others. Banana tree is considered auspicious. Every function we use, every festival, every occasion in our family we use banana tree. All are considered divine and auspicious. And now scientists say plants have got feeling, as in the last few centuries or maybe less than that, they say plants have got feeling and all. If you respond, when a person goes to cut the tree, it responds. But when a person goes to water the plant, it responds. The plants have got different responses. It even responds to what we speak. And therefore they say care for your environment. But in our culture, Bhuta Yajna is there. We have already been talking about it. Matu Pongal we celebrate. What is the significance of it? It's Bhuta Yajna. To sustain, preserve, protect all living beings is considered to be Bhuta Yajna. The kolam that we do in the morning, Rangoli, whatever, using the rice flour is done with, we are not supposed to use only the rice flour so that the ants can eat. We try to feed the ants also. Nowadays, of course, if you ask the ants to eat the Rangoli powder, that colored powder that we use today, the ants will die. Nowadays, what we have done is we have lost the spirit of the festivals, but only retained the form. And of course, we have also added unwanted frills around it. It's the same with weddings also. The wedding is actually supposed to be a very Vaidika ritual. But we have now added so many frills around it. Mehendi, whatever, all those things. It's a different topic anyway. Anyway, coming back to this, animals should be respected. Plants should be respected. That is called as Bhuta Yajna. So these are the Pancha Maha Yajnas. What are the Pancha Maha Yajnas? Deva Yajna, Pitr Yajñā, Brahma Yajñā, Manushya Yajñā, Bhuta Yajñā. All these Pancha Maha Yajnas come under Niyatam Karma Kuru. Sloka number 8. These 5 yajnas must be performed. All the 5 yajnas are compulsory. None of them are optional. One cannot replace another. All these yajnas are for householder. And why? Why? Because as this person leads such a life, you will see that this person actually gives more to the society than what he takes from the society. It will actually make a person more contributing, less consumer, so that the person is no more a burden to the society. This person becomes a blessing to the society. So one of the key rules of Karma Yoga, if we have to define Karma Yoga is a life of contribution, not consumption. At the end of our life, if we sit back and we say, have I contributed more to the society or have I taken more from the society? If we see that we have contributed much more than what we have taken, then we should say we had a fulfilling life. But if I had said, oh, I have enjoyed this, I have enjoyed that, I have enjoyed this, it's a life of consumption, it's not a life of contribution. If I have contributed more to the world than I have taken from the world, which means I have lived a life of Karma Yoga. that is in the form of Pancha Maha Yajnas. And it's not only to one, it's not only to devas, it's not only to Pitrs, it's not only to Manushyas, it's across all the five. So this is Pancha Maha Yajnas. Now going back to this shloka, Saha Yajñā Praja Srishtva Purovacha Prajapatihi. It says Srishtva Prajaha. Srishtva means created, having created. Having created who? Prajaha. Prajaha means human beings. Having created human beings, Saha Yajñāha. Saha Yajñāha means, Saha means along with. Along with what? Yajñāha. Here Yajñāha means the knowledge of being able to lead a karma yoga lifestyle. Previously Yajñāha means Ishvara in the previous shloka. Here Yajñāha means the knowledge of being able to lead a karma yoga lifestyle. Only human beings can have this attitude of sacrifice, contribution and all. The 5 yajnas can be performed only by humans, and Ishvara has given them this knowledge. Humans have a free will. Humans can either live as animals as pre-programmed, or as humans, which means using their free will, or as a divine being, which means using the free will judiciously. So here Saha Yajñā Praja Srishtva Prajaha, having created human beings, Saha Yajñā, with the knowledge of able to lead a karma yoga lifestyle, Purovacha Prajapatihi. Pura means what? Pura means in the beginning of creation. In the beginning of creation, Prajapatihi. Prajapatihi means the creator. The creator is Brahma. Prajapatihi. Uvacha. Puro Uvacha. Puro Uvacha. Uvacha means said. So having created the human beings along with the knowledge of being able to follow the karma yoga lifestyle, the creator said, so Brahmaji has given this knowledge. Now that he has given the knowledge and created the human beings, he said, what did he say? What did he say? Anena prasavishyadvam yeshavostvishta kama duk. Anena. Anena means by this. By this means, here in this means this karma yoga lifestyle. This karma yoga lifestyle. Prasavishyadvam. Prasavishyadvam means may you prosper. May you prosper. Vriddhim kurvatvam. May you elevate yourself. May you all universally prosper. So Bhagavan says, Prajapati, he said, by this knowledge, may you prosper. May you prosper by this knowledge of and living by karma yoga lifestyle. What did he further say? Yeshavos tvishta kamaduk. Yesha vaha astu ishta kamaduk. Yesha. Yesha means may this. What is this refers to here? May this, again, karma yoga lifestyle. May this karma yoga lifestyle, vaha. Vaha means for you, for us humans. May this karma yoga lifestyle for you. What did it be? Astu. Astu means let it be. How will it be? Ishta kama duk. Ishta kama duk. Kama duk means source of objects. Kama duk. Ishta kama duk means, ishta means desired. Source of all desired objects. Source of all desired objects. So what does Prajapati says? Yeshavo ishta kama duk means may this karma yoga lifestyle be the source of all desired objects for you. In other words, you follow karma yoga, may you get all you want through this lifestyle. You will get all you want through this lifestyle. And not only that, anena prasavishyadvam, you will prosper. May you prosper by this. May this be the source of desired objects for you. Ishta Kamaduku means, actually Ishta Kamaduku is Kamadenu. Kamadenu we know. Kamadenu is a heavenly cow. Like Kalparviksha. What is the uniqueness of Kamadenu? Kamam dogdi iti Kamadenu. Whatever we desire, that Kamadenu will give out. Anything, house, wealth, pleasures, whatever it is, it can fulfill all our pleasures. So he says, in the same way, this Karma Yoga lifestyle will fulfill all your pleasure, all your desired objects. Who says that? Prajapati. What does it mean? It means whether we want to progress in this Laukika world, materialistic world, or whether we want to progress in spiritual world, dharmika, spiritual life. What is the only way to prosper? The only way to prosper is dharma. Generally what we think is, if we lead a life of honesty, we will not be able to progress. Only if we are able to do some shortcuts, we can become rich, famous, happy and all those things. Shastra says not like that. And say, there have been many instances where people have actually grown only due to their hard work and integrity. Shastra says following a life of dharma will not just help you progress spiritually, but it will also help you progress materialistically also. It may not be as fast as other people who are doing adharma. It may not be as fast, but they will also fall because if they are following adharma. But the problem for us is we only see, I want to get there in the shortest possible time. And that's why people resort to shortcuts. Bhagavan says, Prasavishyadvam. Prasavishyadvam means may you prosper by following dharma. Only dharma can help us to grow, whether for moksha or for laukika. Prajapati has given this knowledge, Karma Yoga, so that at the time of creation itself, so that we prosper. This is the essence of the sloka. We will see in the next class, the next sloka. Because there is lack of time, I will close it here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Harihi Om.